Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, 11:01 on a Wednesday. Welcome inside The Lock Shop. Dusty with you. Hustle be by shortly. P. Gregoire coming up as well today as we'll take a look at the Valspar Championship as we try to make it back-to-back golf winners. And, hey, what a night. What a night. The 5-1 Lock Shop partner parlay hits again. Let's keep rolling. We are on fire. Coolbet hotline of the day, 2 days in a row on the Nielsen show, also hitting, and 4 of the 5 last week as well. So it's been good times right now. I would think the accounts are pretty flush right now over at Coolbet. If you're just listening to Lock Shop on Edmonton Sports Talk or edmontonsportstalk.com or on TuneIn or at iHeartRadio for the first time, and you hear us talk about Coolbet, they are obviously our exclusive betting partner here at Edmonton Sports Talk. And if you want to sign up for an account today, go sign up. Use the code LOCKSHOP when you do. LOCKSHOP, all one word. Use the code LOCKSHOP. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to 200 smackaroos. I'll be 26s, and it says, Dusty, I am blaming Gager for the EST parlay loss yesterday. Gager had a great read on that game. We set it up on two guys and a goalie yesterday in the noon hour. Also a chance to qualify for the Vegas trip there. Keyword for Vegas today will be around 11:20 this morning. And then we'll bring in Pete Gregoire to talk some golf. And then around 11:50 when Huss takes off for Winnipeg Sports Talk, we will we'll call a qualifier again today. So tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk, qualifying people for this grand prize trip down to Vegas. But Gager yesterday said he was worried about it. He was feeling Montreal 4-2 win. And when they scored 2 and made it 2-2 and were the better team down the stretch prior to those penalties happening, I was thinking Gager out. Like, Gager had a great read on the Oilers yesterday. It didn't end up going the way he thought it would, but he did a great read on the Oilers kind of coming out and laying a dud last night. And that is kind of what they did. They still came away with the dub. And we'll get into that on the oil stream today coming up at noon here. But you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999, and we will get into those as we work our way through the show. And let's bring in Huss from Winnipeg. Huge win for the Jets last night. Huss, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Dude, how about that for a night? Partner parlay comes through, and dude, yeah, I don't know if you saw much of that game. It was our version of that Edmonton Colorado game on Saturday night. I
saw your tweet at about after the first period. You're like, I don't think I'm going to be able to take this.
Dude, it was that was a breakneck pace for that game last night. And listen, credit to the Jets. They've been taking a little heat over the past month or so that they haven't come up very big in some games against some playoff teams. They had a stinker last Tuesday against the Preds. They had a very ugly game the previous Saturday against Vancouver. They continue to beat the hell out of teams below the playoff line. And listen, all those points count, and that's important. And that's why they're tied for first place right now in the Central Division. But going into MSG against the Rangers, you know, you're moving up a weight class or two after pounding the Ducks and Blue Jackets on the weekend. And they were full marks. And listen, I mean, I know we've got a lot of Edmonton people here that might get this as much, but you will recall an infamous video that I did in the produce section of a Super Target on the way back from that Vikings-Chiefs game on Thanksgiving Day when we found out of the blue that Cheveldayoff had re-signed Hellebuck and Scheifele to these 7-year extensions. I mean, last night was those two guys as the leader of the team taking over. Scheifele with the hat trick, absolutely monster game for him and his line. And as I said later on, we can just give the Vezina to Hellebuck right now. 40 saves. And listen, the game was really tight. The Jets dominated the second period, scored 3 times, 0-0 after the first. But you know you're going to get some counter-punching from a team like the Rangers. And let me just say that it was a white-knuckle ride for the last 5-6 minutes. They pulled the goalie down 2, scored 1. And Hellebuck just continued to make big save after big save. So it was a really, really fun night. It was an early game. And then we got to kick back, fire up the center ice, and watch all the other teams we needed come through for a nice little 5-1 partner parlay. So
sweater on that parlay either.
Yeah,
Nashville absolutely rolled. Minnesota was in full control as well. I mean, it was nice.
I was on the verge of doing a Twitter victory lap with about 10 minutes left in the third period in those games. But much like doing the wave at inappropriate times, we've all learned the hard way to cash the tickets before the games are over. And I knew both of those games were in regulation. So I did not want to tempt fate. And as soon as that game over, I saw you had one ready to go. So it was
I was ready to go. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting on it waiting for that game to finish. I was like, I was refreshing it. They scored to make it 3-2. I was like, not happening. Not happening. We got to get this. And then we did. And I was right on it. I was sitting there waiting for it.
I mean, I was just thinking, can you imagine the shame of saying, hey, we did it again, another winner, and then have 2 goals in the last minute, and all of a sudden one of those games just goes to OT, and
that kills us.
And have to show up in the lock shop the next day and own that. So no, it was nice. And the funniest thing about that was we said, okay, let's be a little conservative. We'll take the Nashville puck line to 1.5.
Yeah.
It could have been 5.5 last night.
Well, I mean, that's one thing about their opposition, but it's also the Nashville Predators, man. Roman Josi, 3 more points. Like we had, who do we have on today? Oh, Jamie McLennan, because we were talking about Nashville 13-0-2 or whatever it is in their last 15. And when they've got the goaltender in UC Saros, who we know can be one of the best in the league, and Roman Josi's playing like one of the top defensemen in the National Hockey League. And then as Noodles described it, he goes, they just got a bunch of other guys who play the game right. Superstar defenseman, superstar goaltender, and a bunch of other guys who play the game right.
Well, and by the way, shout out to the Nasty Chat. I know we didn't get the dub, but that was 4 of 5 again last night. The only thing that we didn't get was the, I believe it was the DeBrincat shots. But all the other 4 that were on that ticket. So we're right around it on the Nasty Chat parlay. Came through on the Lock Shop partner parlay. I'm ready for some golf picks tonight. Yeah. And I kind of just wish we had a few more hockey games to pick tonight, to be perfectly honest.
Just the 3 games tonight, and we'll get to these here right off the top. And then Pat's going to join us around 11:20, right before we bring in P. Greggy to talk some Valspar. I will give you that key word. Richard, bad beat. Fogel cost me a plus 526 shot parlay because he could not manage 1 shot on goal last night. Oh, boy. That one stings. Yeah, McLeod and Fogel playing with Leon Draisaitl. Neither of them had a shot on goal last night. Oilers kind of went through the motions and then squeaked one out against the Montreal Canadiens last night. Had a 2-0 lead into the third, blew it quickly, and then got a 2-minute power play near the end of the game, didn't score on it, then got a 4-minute power play near the end of the game that carried over into overtime, and then with like 30 seconds left on that power play, Draisaitl fired one home, which was our Coolbet hotline of the day yesterday, so we hit the Draisaitl goal. But yeah, a very meh. It's one of those wins where a win is a win, for sure, but there's lots of things to discuss out of it. So it's kind of the best of both worlds because fans will still get fired up and there's some good conversation. And the team still came away with the 2 points last night. So they'll take that.
It was funny. And as I said, with the Jets being at MSG, that game started at 6. So everyone was fired up at the end of the game. And shout out to the folks over at the Win City. I mean, we had the Oiler game on one TV. We had the Canucks Sabres on another TV. We had the Lightning Golden Knights on one, and then realized, we got to make sure we pay attention to the Wild for the partner parlay. So all that one, that one did. I kind of joked that the Jets Rangers was a bit of a white knuckle ride, and that was sort of expected. I was not expecting the white knuckle ride that the Oilers were on last night as they took that one home and had to end up going into overtime. But it is all the points that count. I tell you what. The Vegas Golden Knights could have used a W last night.
Minnesota's 3 points back. They're 3 points back. They play each other 2 more times. We went over this today. And Vegas is basically, how many times have we said in the last 3 months, Vegas is 4-6 in their last 10? It seems like they're perennial 4-6 in their last 10. And they just slowly drifted down to maybe being in a little bit of trouble here, Huss.
Well, do you remember the start of the season that they had?
They had a great start.
20 games. I mean, they were close to probably 20 points ahead of the Oilers at one point. Since then, since like the 25 game mark of the season, it'd be funny to look at their 10 game segments, but I don't think you're far off with 4-6, 3-6-1, 5-5. And so, I mean, listen, Nashville, Nashville just keeps on winning. I think we can almost put an X beside their name. And we're basically talking about the Kings and Golden Knights battling for that final playoff spot in the Pacific and the wild card. And the big question is, can Minnesota or St. Louis make a big push and catch the Golden Knights? And it's only one game in hand for Vegas. It was two. It's only one now against both Minnesota and St. Louis. And I'll tell you what, I did put a little sprinkle on the Blues game last night and watched the third period of that game. They're not going down without a fight either. I mean, listen, they had a really, really tough opponent with the Colorado Avalanche. And, the Avs have just been, they're 9-1 in their last 10 and they've won 7 in a row. They're playoff ready right now. But I'll tell you what, this Vegas team needs to get it together right now. And I mean, that was a battle of two really desperate teams. Tampa has, kind of got it together in the last week or so, winning 4 in a row. And meanwhile, nobody else seemingly wants to make the playoffs for that final spot except for the Capitals. And we'll get to the Caps in a minute. And Detroit won a game, so they're technically in that wild card, but Washington has 2 games in hand. They're 1 point back right now. You've got the Islanders still around there, but lost 5 in a row after winning 6 in a row. And I think we can officially, after last night, put the E beside the Buffalo Sabres. They needed to win that game if they wanted to be there. They're just too far back. They've played too many games. So Pittsburgh and the Devils with that win, I guess, technically stay alive because, of course, the Philadelphia Flyers. Oh, and one thing we didn't talk about. Did you see Sean Couturier's interview?
I did not watch that after the skate. No.
Like, this guy just got named captain of the Flyers like a month ago. And it was a healthy scratch in one of the biggest games of the year. But I'll tell you what, give Torts credit. He is a puppet master. His team came out, got up to a big lead on the Leafs, held on for a massive win that they needed so badly. And I'm sure Couturier will be back in the lineup and will be at his usual level. But that's a tough pill to swallow. And we were trying to think, when was the last time a captain of an NHL team was just a straight up healthy scratch for a massive game like
you just get to see you're supposed to be a leader of the team and boom, you are scratched. It does seem like something only Torts would do, to be honest with you. Like, you just don't see that very many other places.
Last time a captain was scratched.
So. We're going to get to the 3 hockey games tonight. I got the confirmed starters. We'll dive there. I see Jake in the Nasty Chat saying 2 more first 4 games tonight. He's got his eyes on Colorado over there. P. Greggy's waiting to get in. We'll get his thoughts on that Leafs game tonight, and we'll obviously set up the Valspar Vegas keyword coming up here in about 5 minutes. But I do have to say, with the way things have gone on in the lock shop lately, Huss, I do love the fact, and I know it's Win City because of Winnipeg, but I love the fact that you're sitting there cashing tickets at a place called the Win City Pub. You know, like Win City all night. Like, it's great. Works out very well.
We got a big crew of cool bettors there. It's kind of, brick by brick, one by one, letting people know that to get on board, hooking them up with the promo code, and some lock shoppers there as well that make a point, even if they can't join us live, checking out what's going on in the exclusive. So there was a few really legit high fives at about 11:45 last night at the win for a few people that rode with us. But it was just a super fun night all around. Great win for the Jets, and then great win for the lock shop. That's the way you want on those Tuesday nights with the big slate. Now, can we keep it going into tonight? And maybe most importantly, when Pat joins us, keep it going for some. Can we keep that Scotty Scheffler mojo going into the Valspar?
That would be nice, and we'll get to that here. Your starting goaltenders tonight, 3 games tonight in the National Hockey League. Washington Capitals hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs. Charlie Lindgren is confirmed to start for the Caps. Joseph Woll listed as likely, but it is expected that he will start for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jake Ottinger confirmed to start for the Dallas Stars tonight. Connor Ingram, the only goaltender right now that is listed as unconfirmed. And then the late game, this is a big game right here. Minnesota and the Los Angeles Kings. Big Savid David will be in there. Riddick for the Kings and Marc-Andre Fleury for the Minnesota Wild.
Dave, and it's so funny in that like last year, if you will recall, the Jets were comfortable. I mean, at one point they were first in the West on like the middle of January, and then they had 2 months of just really, really underwhelming play and underwhelming results, and all of a sudden they were on the verge of the biggest collapse in NHL history. to not make the playoffs after being first in a conference that late in the year.
Yeah.
And let's just say Big Save Dave wasn't mixing in enough saves. Any of them, never mind big ones. And I think Hellebuck played 13 straight games going into the playoffs until they clinched with one game to go and Dave got the last one. And many people kind of say, well, that's why Hellebuck maybe wasn't at his best. They just ran him to the ground just to make the playoffs. Very different story this year. And the big question now, can they get LB in for another 6 games, I believe, before the end of the season to get his name on the Jennings Trophy, the Winnipeg Jets Jennings Trophy? It's just simply like what a world we're living in today, folks. Oh, and by the way, for everyone that rode with me, this is, I mean, I know you got the Bouchard future in like February.
Yeah, that was the easiest future cash ever.
Shout out to everyone that rolled with us on the Josh Morrissey prop. That cashed last night, 57 points. He was over 56.5. And the Jets could hit their total for the season, the total points, before even hitting the 70 game mark. We're 94.5 was the number. There was a large wager on that one. They're one win away from that. It could happen tomorrow. So lots of good things happening around the club as well as in the lock shop here.
What do you like tonight? Just we got the Leafs and the Caps, Coyotes and Stars, and the Wild and the Kings. I did take Dallas -1.5 on the puck line tonight for the Coolbet hotline of the day, and we've hit 6 of the last 7 over there. So trying to stay red hot on the Nielsen show. I took Dallas on that puck line. Dallas needs to find its stride here, I think, a little bit. And I like the opponent tonight for them to do that. So -1.5 was what I looked at a little bit earlier this morning. I mentioned that Minnesota and Kings game is a big one. And then Maple Leafs Washington with Matthews and Ovi. That's always an intriguing one to place a little wager on.
You know, just as far as the Coyotes and Stars go, I'm just looking. Stars and Reg is -172. Dallas is weird because I think I told you this before. You know, you remember the head-to-head matchups against your own team.
Yeah.
And the Jets are 0-3 against Dallas this year. I mean, I think they're like 18 and 5 in the division, or I guess 6 now with the loss to Nashville. 3 of those losses, though, to Dallas. But you dig in a little bit more to the Dallas Stars. They don't win in regulation very often. They've got a ton of OTLs and wins in overtime. And the other thing that is a bit of an issue when it comes to the Stars is that Jake Ottinger, and again, he's been great against Winnipeg. His 5-on-5 percentage against high danger shots is second last in the league behind Vitek Vanacek. And I'll say this, the Stars have been getting their points, but they certainly have not been getting many style points. Like I think of the 8-round shootout they had to sweat out against the Sharks, and then an overtime game the following matchup against them.
7-6, yeah.
I mean, this game is tough. I mean, obviously, I think we have to run with Dallas, and I'm not adverse to going for the puck line. The other 2 games are the ones that are really interested me. And Washington, first game off the road trip, desperate situation, back at home, win 3 in a row against the Leafs, who I would imagine will want to be a much better team than they were last night. To be honest, I think I maybe lean Leafs in this one. And in the late game, I think I'm going to roll with the Wild at +130. I mean, they cruised last night against the Ducks. It was a no sweater. They've got a couple shutouts recently. And I think if we've learned one thing about the LA Kings, they can't be trusted, especially at home. Win one, lose one for LA. I think the Wild do the Vegas Golden Knights a big favor tonight and get that win. I'm going to jump on them at +130 on the money line. Yeah,
the Kings over their last little stretch here, since March 3rd, beat New Jersey 5-1, lost to the Canucks in overtime, beat the Sens in overtime, lost to the Stars, beat the Islanders 3-0, lost to the Blues 3-1, beat the Blackhawks 5-0, lost to Dallas 4-1, beat Chicago 5-2. So, like, their wins have come against 2 against Chicago, 1 against Ottawa, 1 against New Jersey. They did have that win against the Islanders when the Islanders were playing better than they have been recently. But you look at the games against Dallas, they drop those, they lose to Vancouver. So, I mean, I don't want to just sit here and agree with you all the time, but I think I like Minnesota tonight. And
what about the Leafs?
Yeah, I mean, when I first looked at these games today, earlier on the show this morning, I did initially think, okay, Toronto's probably the play tonight. And then I mentioned earlier that I liked Dallas. But, I mean, if we want to stay away from that Dallas Coyotes game or take Dallas in regulation, you could keep Dallas in regulation, the Leafs on the money line, and then Minnesota.
Hey, you've been pretty good with those picks from the morning show. I mean, as they say, like,
yeah. I mean,
Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas has to be watching what Winnipeg and Colorado were doing.
That's what I mean. Like they got to start getting going.
Big game.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: if we're betting a team to win in regulation, okay, so it's 2-1 in reg.
You still got a shot at it, right?
There's probably a pulled goalie. So, as I say, I mean, if we go money line with the Wild and Leafs until the Stars end on the puck line, it comes up to plus 656.
Yeah, it's a big number.
It'd be 7-1.
Yeah, no, I like it. Let's do it. I mean, we've been rolling. Let's do that tonight. Maple Leafs minus 132, Dallas minus 1.5, Minnesota plus 130. Jake, if you're watching, let us know that you got it. I got a Vegas keyword here we're going to give away. Then we're going to bring in Pat, get his thoughts on this Leafs Capitals game, and dive into the Valspar here. It is the EST Flyway as we've teamed up with the airport. That's Fly YEG, and we're sending you on a nonstop trip down to Vegas. Make sure you're listening for the keyword 4 times per day right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk, giving away this trip to Vegas. 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodation, tickets to a Cirque show, presented by Fly YEG and the LVCVA. Nonstop flights over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from Fly YEG. Visit www.flyyeg.com for more on all their nonstop flights and more information about what's going on down at the airport. Today's keyword, I said this morning, I said this is absolutely the perfect keyword for the lock shop today. Today's keyword that you text into 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, parlay.
Yeah.
Parlay. Am I right? This is probably the most lock shop word of all time. Text in parlay right now. PARLAY. That's PARLAY. Text in parlay right now to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. The keyword today is parlay, PARLAY. If you're listening to the lock shop, I probably don't need to tell you how to spell parlay, but PARLAY, and we'll call a qualifier in about 25 minutes, so make sure you stay by your phone. All right, where's P. Greggy at? Let's bring in P. Greggy here. Pat Gregor is going to join us. We're going to talk some golf. We got to start with this Leafs Caps game, I think, as well. Patty, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Doing great, fellas. I absolutely cannot wait for this next stretch, this month. This is peak sports bettor time. Like, this is where you got to put your big boy pants on. You got to pack a lunch, and this is a grind for us. Please, everyone, non-sports bettors, keep us in your thoughts and prayers, because this is an absolute grind over the next month. We've got March Madness starting up tomorrow. NHL, NBA playoffs just around the corner. But before that, the Masters. Like, this is by far one of the best times of the year. Oh, yeah, and also shout out to MLB's baseball marketing department. I guess their season started today. Thanks for letting us know that, guys.
Yeah,
like,
I woke up this morning, and I'm checking my phone. I'm laying in bed. I'm checking my phone, and it's like, Padres Dodgers, 3rd inning. I was like, wait a second, is this the first game of the season? Is that happening right now? What's going on? I had no idea about the Soul Series.
I get it. I understand time zones exist, but like, was there no other way we could have possibly done this? Was there also no other way that, again, just absolute negligence by the MLB's marketing department? It's almost like they want to keep it a secret at this point. But hey, I was not trying to be negative. I'm saying this is our time. This is our time to shine. And let's continue our hot ways with the Valspar. But I know you do want to get into the Leafs here.
Well, I mean, what do you think? What do you think tonight against Washington here?
We're riding with them against the Caps.
Yeah.
Caps have been hot. I think the Leafs bounce back. It is second end of a back-to-back. They're a slight favorite. Where are we at here? Where is your confidence level that we're not screwing ourselves by riding with the blue and white?
The confidence level's not too high. There was a good pushback in that third period for the Leafs, and let's be honest, they did not play their best bet. There's no denying that. Thought Philly just out hustled them in a lot of areas of the game, but with a couple bounces here and there, the Leafs could have easily put up 4 or 5 goals. Just bounces were not going for them. I think Mike Johnson on the broadcast said he counted 7 posts alone in that game for the Maple Leafs. I think this is a big prove-it spot for the Leafs off a back-to-back. Austin Matthews going up against Alex Ovechkin. I think those two guys will be fun to watch them go head-to-head. I know they're not playing directly against each other, but it'll be a little bit of a chip on their shoulder game. I'm not going to bet the Leafs money line. Just like I said, vibes are not too high on the blue and white right now. What I do like, I'm looking here, power play goals for the game over 1.5. We know how good Toronto's power play is. At times it looks automatic. But the big thing for me is the fact that the Capitals' power play has been heating up. Ovechkin's stick is heating up. And the Leafs could be without 2 of their best penalty killers up front once again in Cal Yarncrook and Mitch Marner. Those 2 guys, you talk about Mitch Marner, all the offensive skill. One thing that I don't think he gets enough credit for is how good of a penalty killer he is, and the results kind of speak for themselves. They've been struggling to keep the puck out of their net. So I really like it. It's at plus 130 as well. So give me 2 power play goals.
That's a nice
between
number.
Those 2 guys
at plus 130.
At plus money.
Yeah,
I think our bookies might be sleeping at the wheel here. I really like this number.
Yeah, I think the one for the Oilers game yesterday was like plus 110 or something like that. So yeah. Plus 130 is nice.
Hey, okay, listen, before we dive into the Valspar, how good was that players? And again, I know we had a little bit of Scotty, or a lot of Scotty, in fact, as opposed to normal. But Pat, as someone that follows the tour, we've known there's been a lot of guys that no one's heard of win. The Sunday afternoons haven't had a lot of the big boys. That was exactly what the tour needed, and what a show that Scheffler put on. Xander just doesn't seem to be able to get it done in those big moments. And listen, as someone that had a Scheffler wager, I will always remember it for good reasons. But I'm not sure Wyndham Clark's going to be able to sleep for a long time after that putt on 18. How did that not go in?
The season started on Sunday. Like officially the PGA Tour season started Sunday. We had the drama. We had the big names. The leaderboard looked legit, and we had some big moments. Scotty Scheffler, it's so crazy. And, we took a bath. I know a lot of the big books took a bath.
I was wondering about that. Was there
Scotty to win.
It was the shortest number. And I mean, I said it to you on the thing. Like, I would never normally bet in a field like that, a favorite that was so short, but there were so many reasons to think that he could do it. And instead of putting 4 bets normally, just basically put it all into Scotty. Was that did that happen quite a bit?
That happened quite a bit. And also a lot of smart bettors listen to some of the advice that I say when you're not too sure about a golfer at the start of the tournament, maybe wait till round 2. Maybe even wait heading into Sunday. And clearly there was a lot of folks that saw that had that to their advantage. And that's where we got picked apart there as well. So it was a tough one for the book, but I loved every second. Being a Scotty bettor, that was great for me. It was great to see some big names at the top, like I mentioned. I think when Scotty started to make that charge, I felt like it was done in the bag. But Xander made it interesting. Wyndham made it interesting. Like, I do not know how that ball doesn't go in. This could be like a historic Scotty run that's coming here. The fact that now he's putting, the numbers continue to just be eye-popping. I saw a tweet as well that heading into the Masters, the odds for Scotty to win are very close to the same that we saw for Tiger Woods back in his prime during his crazy run.
And they should be, right, Patty? Like, they should be with what he's doing. Like,
well, I mean, when you look at all the analytics, and I know you don't win golf courses on a spreadsheet, or you don't win golf tournaments on a spreadsheet. But with that being said, the numbers are unbelievable. The only thing that was lacking was the putting. I mentioned it on this program multiple times. The numbers say if he was a tour average putter, he would have won anywhere between 10 to 14 tournaments last year. Like, that's just absolutely bananas. We haven't seen that since Tiger. And I think we're now starting to see that if the flat stick can stay hot, this is no doubt a guy that can go on a historic run. I obviously, I think when you look at his success, a lot of his successes come early on in the year. I know he did win the Masters, but is he able to keep this run, the entire way through? Here, I've got the tweet up here. So in 2005, heading into the Masters, Tiger was plus 350, and I'm not too sure which sportsbook they are referencing here, but Scotty, at this book that they are referencing, it is plus 450 for him to don the green jacket. That is insane at a major event where those live guys are going to be there. It is remarkable how low we're seeing his numbers. Well, I will say this though. Hold on, because the sports books have not really adjusted for the rest of the field just yet. Unless you want to bet on Scotty at plus 450 to win this thing, sure, go for it.
Well,
but we're still not really.
If you do want Scotty, as usual, Coolbet has better odds. He's 5-1 right now. And at 5-1 seems really low, but then you look elsewhere and realize that's still probably the best number around. But yeah, Scotty 5-1, Rory
Crazy.
10, Rom 12, Xander 18, and can't forget about Brooks and Neiman at 20.
I was going to say, where's Brooks? Yeah, 22.
But yeah, 5-1 is that number, and I think that's down from about 7 before the Players.
And there's no doubt about that. I'm glad you mentioned some of the other guys, especially when you talk about the live guys. Neiman, I already talked about how I've already bet him. But when you look at some of these specials, and I'm glad you also mentioned Wyndham, because yes, absolutely heartbreaking, and it's going to be tough for him to bounce back. I think Wyndham's putting his name into the conversation, not with the Scotty Schefflers, not with the John Rahms, maybe not even with the Victor Hovlands or the Rorys, but like, he is getting close. Like, I don't know if you guys watched Full Swing yet, season 2, but there's an episode on him, and it talks about how he got a psychologist, a sports psychologist, and it completely changed the way he sees the game, the way he plays, the way he's affected. Like,
I hope he's got a couple extra appointments after that 18th hole.
I think he does.
He's laying on a couch somewhere right now. He's like, oh my God.
Putting in an absolute shift, a different shift on the couch than what we'll be doing over the next 4 days with March Madness. But that's another thing. I just think he's got the killer instinct. I think the way that he's playing, and as I was going to say, this isn't like this is just some young, plucky up-and-comer. Like, he's been on the tour for quite some time. And what he and his caddy believed was it was the mental part of his game. Coming out of college, this guy was deemed to be, one of the next up-and-coming guys. He just didn't have it in between the ears. So for some of these specials, I'm definitely diving in. Wyndham Clark to make the cut in all 4 majors, plus 170. For him to finish in the top 20 in all majors, 16-1. Now you're getting into, Rory, Brooks, Scotty territory here, but top 10 in all majors, 150-1, and then top 5 in all majors, 250-1. Those last 2, I don't know if I'd be touching, but that 170 top 20, for him to make the cut and everything.
Yeah, well, that one's good. But the top 20 one's not bad either, 16-1. Like, that's pretty good value.
He has been sniffing near the leaderboard in the last, 5, 6 signature events, and even if you want to include him in the way that he played in the Ryder Cup, if you want to include him in the way that he, won a major last year, again, we're kind of getting off the beaten path here, but just when you mentioned Wyndham Clark, I thought this year, no doubt he is going to win a major, and on that note, odds for him to win a major right now, plus 600. Doesn't matter which one. If he wins a major, his odds are around Will Zalatoris at 600, Xander Schauffele 600, Morikawa and DeChambeau 600, 700, Spieth 700. I get it. Those guys are probably bigger names than who Wyndham Clark is right now. But in what planet are you putting money on Xander Schauffele to win a major? No, thank you.
Yeah.
You want to talk about not being able to have it in between the ears?
At those moments, yeah.
We all should be sprinting right now. Maybe this is a good transition, and hopefully I'm not going to pick that either of you guys have right now, but based off his skill set, based off this field, we should be sprinting to the window right now to place our Xander bets, because he is by far and away the best golfer in this tournament. But what makes you believe down the stretch he's going to be able to win this thing? When was the last time he won?
Short a number
the
for
Olympics?
A guy, especially with what happened on in the Players. I mean, the Players is a huge tournament. That the disappointment of losing the way he did, I think is significant. Just before we get to it, I will say this: if you go to the golf specials, I had already sprinkled on a few guys to hit top 10 or top 20 in all 4 majors. Just kind of fun. You get a few guys there, and it was nice numbers, like 125 to 1 for Spieth and for Morikawa. The Wyndham Clark at 150 to 1 might be worth throwing a 5 or a 10 down on there, because it does seem like he is contending. And by the way, going from the API to the Players, first time going back in over 50 years that the same player had been runner-up to a back-to-back winner on the PGA Tour. So, I mean, if it wasn't for Scotty, Wyndham right now is the number 2 player on the PGA Tour, certainly by results. But it's an interesting field, and I got to tell you, I'm just looking at the Valspar odds right now, and I've been kind of checking them out and figuring out when I was going to make my plays. I'm glad I waited, because I'm just noticing that even I think since last night, Sam Burns was 12 to 1. He's now at 14. Like that group at 28 was 25. Minwoo Lee was 33. It's now 35. So I'm not sure that that's a trend that often happens, to be honest, where you get a better number closer to, like, as the week moves on. But all I can tell you is that I've been kind of going back and forth on a bunch of these, and I think now's the time to get in, because it popped up. And I mean, listen, for a guy that was 12 to 1 to go to 14 to 1, that's a significant movement. I mean, you're talking about like over 10%.
Yeah, I think that just kind of leads us to believe that maybe there's a lot of money on the X-Man. The fact that he's 7 to 1 blows my mind. Watch, he'll run away with this thing. But I don't know, the way that his inability to finish events over the last couple of years is remarkable. He finds just new ways to lose golf tournaments. So no, thank you, not for me. And I'm glad you mentioned the numbers at Coolbet. That's how you got hooked to the polar bear, right? But there's 2 bets that I have not been able to find a better number anywhere else than Coolbet.
All right, well, let's get into it, buddy. Who do you like? Who are you on?
Well, you teased one of them there, Huss. It's Sam Burns, and
I'm also on Sam Burns.
How could you not?
Yeah,
though,
I know.
Like, how could you not? This guy should have equity in Copperhead. He owns this place.
Exactly. That's why I looked at it. I was just like, man, he's had so much success here. He's done up until the last couple of events. He's been great this year. And I was just like, man, but can he do it again? Can he win for a 3rd time here? And then I was just like, screw it. Sam Burns is my favorite play. So I'm with you, man.
Yeah, and I was expecting a way lower number. I was thinking we were going to have to soak a 10 to 1 and 11 to 1. The fact that it's 14, I think this is an absolute no-brainer, and maybe it is the recent form, but his recent form has been great. On tour, he ranks 22nd in scrambling percentage. He also ranks 8th in birdie average, 4th in birdie or better percentage. Like, that's what you need to do at this golf course, and that's why he's done so well. You have to be accurate off the tee. You have to be able to ball strike, and you have to be able to scramble, and he can do those things. And what's been great for him this year, and we know when he's been playing his best golf, it's when the flat stick does heat up. He's gained strokes in every start this year with the putter, and he's in the top 20 stroke game in putting. I know we said his recent form hasn't been as strong. He's still been really good. Don't get me wrong. He's made the cut in 12 straight events, including 5 top 10 finishes.
Yeah.
So I think with this number, it's a no-brainer for me, and I'm glad you agree as well. So I think he might have to be in our lock shop partner parlay as well. Another number that couldn't find it any better anywhere else, Nick Taylor, the Canadian, 35-1. I also like him inside the top 20 at plus 160. I also like Burns top 10 plus 115, by the way. It's been a really good start to the season for Taylor. He's already won once. He's finished top 10 this season as well. He finished 11th in the FedEx Cup standings. So that just goes to show you, yeah, I know it's the start of the year, but there haven't been too many more consistent players, on tour so far this year. He probably could be even higher on the FedEx standings if it wasn't for that really bad round on Saturday. He was right in the mix.
Yeah, was that
after
76
Thursday
or
and
something like
Friday.
that? Like,
Yeah,
killed
really
him.
bad round. 76 kind of blew him up and killed him. You're right. We know how good of an iron player he is. His putting is really strong as well. He ranks 9th in strokes gained approach and 11th in putting and 16 in total strokes gained. And when you put just the players that are in this field, his total his total strokes gained is 9th. So he's also finished pretty well here as well. He's got a top 10, he finished there last year.
Yeah.
So, of course, history is on his side. I'll take Nick Taylor at 35-1. And then two more from me. I'm going with the Gim Reaper. It's
Oh, Gim
actually
Reaper
wild
alert!
since we've been Yes, Gim Reaper alert has been knocking on the door. He's that meme each tournament. Because listen to this here. He's getting close. T16 at the Players, T16 at the Cognizant, T8 at the Mexico, and a T13 at the Farmers Insurance. He started the year off with 2 missed cuts, but has been absolutely dialed since then. Locked in, and you could argue that he's been one of the most consistent players on tour. Over that stretch, he's as mentioned, those 5 top 20, he's also gained more than 20 strokes when it comes to ball striking. He is an elite ball striker. He's deadly accurate off the tee. He's 4th in stroke gain total in the entire PGA. He's 13 in approach. But what has separated him, because he's always been a really good ball striker and he's always been deadly off the tee, it's his putting. He's 30 seconds in strokes gained putting, and he's gained strokes, at least 3 strokes, in back-to-back starts. He's also a pretty good scrambler, which is important here. 15th overall in scrambling percentage and 10th in the field. So give me the Gim Reaper at 40-1. Also, best bet of the week, top 20 plus 180.
That's
And then
in the
I'm
partner
going to,
parlay.
has to be. It's a no-brainer. And my sprinkle, just because of the way the season has started this year, I try to get somewhere in between that 80 to 100-1. Our guy, Huss, Akshay Bhatia. And again, I think this is more of a sprinkle. His form hasn't been great as of late, but when he does play well, he's finished inside the top 20 in all those 3 events that he's made the cut. Actually, inside the top 15. And all 3 of those events that he did play in were way better fields than what we're seeing here for the Valspar. So he's accurate off the tee. He's a great approach player. And the one thing that might throw a wrench into everything, we're kind of experiencing potentially some really unexpected Florida weather for April. So it's supposed to be windy, rainy. But the good thing about Bhatia is, he lives in the Bahamas. That's where he plays a lot. He's won on the coast before, I think the Bermuda Classic last year. And when you look at a lot of his, solid starts, whether it's on the Corn Ferry or even on the PGA in his young career, it's all been like coastal courses. That means a lot of wins. So he's going to be able to, scramble his way and ball strike his way to some good numbers. And then to top it all off, all those guys that I mentioned, Burns, Taylor, Gim, Bhatia, all to make the cut, plus 300 for my Greggy's golf special this week.
Oh, nicely
That
done.
is
Nicely
nice.
done. We'll have to get in on that. It's funny. I mean, I won't need to take too long here because I really do feel I actually didn't play very deep onto the board. I kind of feel like they maybe got those crazy long shots out early. Scotty with the back-to-back wins. I think this is now when the big boys are going to be, in the winner's circle a lot more often. And Sam Burns is the guy this week. It's not Xander Schauffele. I was looking at him at 12-1 before. I love the fact we can get him at 14-1 right now. So that'll be the biggest bet that I place on this tournament. And you mentioned the Gim Reaper. I mean, Doug Gim, you kind of laid it out. He has been so consistent right now. And I mean, that's the sort of game you have to have, especially at a course like this and a field like this, to pop 1 week. So 40-1, definitely in on Doug Gim, sort of by other. He'd be my longest shot. I am going to play maybe FOMO bets, but a little less. If you add an extra 3 to Tony Finau at a course like this, where driving is so important, at 28-1, you know I'm in on Tony. And to be honest, Minwoo Lee at 35-1 as well. I mean, he's a guy who didn't have a spectacular players by any stretch of the imagination, but he's been in the mix before. He's got a great combination of distance, ball striking, and general consistency, I'd say, that you need to have to play Copperhead. So we're going to add Minwoo at 35, Tony at 28-1. And I think we can get to this right now. Dusty, you can maybe round it out. Whether we want to go top 10, maybe for Sam Burns, top 20 for Doug Gim, and then add another top 20 in there and put that together for a little lock shop.
I was going to say, it's not going to take me long either, because my top 2 guys are Sam Burns and Nick Taylor. And Pete Greg, you already kind of laid that out. I mean, Burns has 4 top 10 since January 21st. We know he has success here at this course. I couldn't get away from him. You laid out the nice case for Nick Taylor. I've got 2 other guys further down the list that I don't think come into the conversation, Huss, especially because you're on some of the top-end guys for like something that we want to put together. But a couple of 66-1s, Maverick McNeely being one of them. He's been top 15 in 3 of his last 4 events, which is great. Coming off a T9 at Sawgrass as well. So I like Maverick McNeely. I was actually a little surprised. I was doing some reading, some previews on some of the regular spots I go. And then I was just like, all right, let's go see what the odds are on McNeely over at Coolbet. And I kept scrolling down. I was like, where is this guy? And he's 66-1 right now. So I like McNeely there. And then I'm going to go to a guy who was a runner-up at this event last year as well, in Adam Schenk at 66-1. He's got 3 top 25 so far in 2024. Top 20, T19, I think, at CBC Sawgrass. And yeah, finished runner-up here last year and was leading the tournament, I think, for like after 36 and after 54. So I'll throw Maverick McNeely and Adam Schenk into the conversation at 66-1, but Sam Burns at 14-1, and then the 35-1 number that Pat was talking about with Nick Taylor will be my other 2 plays. So we got the Sam Burns thing. I like the Gim Reaper. Patty, who else do we throw in here? Is it Nick Taylor? Do we look at Nick Taylor?
Taylor.
Yeah, it's got to be Taylor.
I think it's Taylor. I'd be okay with Mav though, because I know you're on him. He is 10th in strokes gained this year. He's also 2 in scrambling, which when you look at all the analytics that are supposed to help here, it's going to work. But at the same time, how do we not back Nick Taylor? How do we not with the season that he's at? I think it's got to be Taylor.
So it's the Gim Reaper and Nick Taylor top 20, Sam Burns top 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll probably join you with Mav McNeely with an outright bet.
Oh yeah, 66-1.
He was just off my card.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm glad you brought that up. It makes me feel more confident in my pick, P. Greggy. So that's good. Huss, what's coming up in Winnipeg? We're gonna call a qualifier here right away for the Vegas trip. But Huss, what's coming up in Winnipeg Sports Talk?
Oh, well, victory lap after last night's game. Down goes Brown from the Athletics, going to come on. We'll talk about some stories in and around the league. Murata Tesh from the Athletic as well. And just, hit a lot of hockey talk today as, we get ready for the Devils tomorrow night. And the Jets continue this and sort of comparing schedules of Dallas and Colorado. And just lots of Jets talk and lots of Hellebuck and Scheifele talk after the game last night. The team's on the ice right now in New York. We'll hear from the club a little later on towards the end of the program. So it should be fun. But fellas, let's get these exclusives going. We will have, let's see if the hockey parlay is in today. No, it's not up yet. It's just college basketball right now in the Lock Shop Partner parlay. But we're going Toronto, Minnesota money line, Dallas -1.5. I think that's probably going to be in excess of 7-1 after the boost. And then we get the golf partner parlay in there, ready for tomorrow. And then the other thing I'm going to do, and we'll go through this on the Coolbet lines on WST, take a look at the actual Coolbet exclusives for March Madness, because I've been going through a few of those. And I think for someone like me that's not really dialed into college football or college basketball, I should say, there's some pretty good options of some, get a couple things, the teams that you're on and sort of follow those. So we'll touch on that before the tourney gets going tonight. By the way, shout out to that promo with the 20% boost. I jumped on Colorado State last night, just basically fading Virginia with everything I'd heard about them. Virginia put up 42 points, and shout out to Jake. Crazy. He said, I'm just taking the under in this game. These guys can't score. One on both. But the fact that is a 20% win boost is unheard of. We're going to get that one for every single round. So the other thing we got to do is figure out which game I'm going to use that on in round one for tomorrow. But good stuff, fellas. We'll catch you guys tomorrow, and good luck at the Valspar. Let's keep it rolling.
See you guys later. There you go. That's Pat Gregoire. Find him on Twitter at PGreggy, and Huss obviously as well at Hustlerama. Before we wrap up, we're going to be calling our qualifier. We're good to go. Who do we have today, Zach? Who do we got?
We got Dana calling. Right. She's fired up.
All right, Dana, congratulations. Let's bring in Dana this morning. Dana, congratulations. You're one step closer to winning a nonstop flight trip all the way down to Vegas.
I am fired up. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you should be. When have you been to Vegas before?
I've been twice, yes.
You've been twice. All right, so you know your way around Vegas. What's your favorite thing about Vegas?
You know what? Just walking the strip and people watching.
It's great, isn't it?
Last time I was in Vegas, finally went to Fremont Street, which I enjoyed a lot more.
Dana, listen, if you love people watching, there's probably no better people watching spot in the world than Fremont Street.
Oh, gosh, isn't that the truth?
It's wild. Who would you bring with you?
Probably, my husband or my daughter.
All right, one or the other. That works out well then. All right, well, you're one step closer to winning the grand prize. Best of luck in that grand prize draw.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right, she's a nice lady. Dana's a nice lady. Yeah. Tell your friends, Edmonton Sports Talk, out here qualifying people for a chance to win a trip to Vegas, 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, and tickets for a Cirque du Soleil show presented by FlyYG and the LV CVA. Nonstop flights to over 50 destinations. Your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from FlyYG. Visit flyyg.com for more information on that. Next chance to qualify, probably around 12:40 today on the Oil Stream with myself and Tommy Gazzola. Before we wrap up here, I was just hopping into the exclusives page over at Coolbet and the Lock Shop parlays. We've got a bunch in there. And the Lock Shop, let me see, is this the hockey one? Okay, the hockey one is up. Jake was right. Here's what we have for you right now in the Lock Shop Partner Parlay, a bunch of March Madness stuff. Creighton, Arizona, UConn, and Houston, all to make the Final Four, plus 8,500. Let's go. That's our Final Four. And in fact, that's my actual exact Final Four on my bracket. Creighton, Arizona, UConn, and Houston, all to make the Final Four, plus 8,500. Patty's Parlay, Drake and BYU to both win. McNeese State and Gonzaga over 149.5, plus 335. Pat and Jake's College Basketball Sweat, Michigan State plus 3.5, Oregon plus 4.5, Auburn minus 9.5, and James Madison plus 8.5. I've got my ride with Dusty for first round action. Vermont against my Duke Blue Devils kills me, plus 11.5. James Madison plus 5.5. FAU to win on the money line. Samford plus 8.5 against Kansas. That's plus Kansas, I should say. That's plus 1150. And then the Lock Shop Partner Parlay is thrown in there as well. Maple Leafs to win, Minnesota to win, Dallas minus 1.5 tonight at home against Arizona, plus 490. Find all of those on the exclusives page at Coolbet. That is going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Busy slate tomorrow, always is on a Thursday in the National Hockey League. Huss and I still got to dive into those Grey Cup futures. We'll do that tomorrow as well. We got the Oil Stream coming up here on Edmonton Sports Talk. If you are listening online, very easy. Stick around, a little bit of Whale and the Wolf, and the Oil Stream will fire up on TuneIn, on iHeart, and of course at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. That's going to do it for us on the Lock Shop today. Thank you very much for joining us today. Good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.